Welcome, I'm Nina Gryphon, and this is the Astrology and Magic channel. Today we'll talk about the astrology of January 2024. First off, I wanted to say thank you to all of my patrons. I appreciate all of your support. If you would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/Nina Gryphon. And if you sign up at the highest tier, you will get access to my monthly ebook, Magical Elections, which tells you how and when to make astrological talismans. January is an astrologically busy month, but it's not laden with conflict, although there is still plenty of maneuvering to position oneself well in future engagements. Mars will be in excellent position all month as he enters his exaltation and finally escapes the beams of the sun after several months of laboring in obscurity. Mars gets quite a lift in early January, in fact. The other big event in January is Pluto's entry into Aquarius, where he will spend most of the rest of the year, except about 10 weeks in autumn. We are now very close to full entry into the age of air, which was ushered in by the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction at 0 Aquarius, and now we have Pluto transiting that same degree multiple times. This year will bring in some wondrous new inventions, good and bad, that will make us feel like we are truly living in the future. January 1st, Mercury will turn direct at 22 Sagittarius. Mercury spent almost 2 months in Sagittarius, the sign of his detriment. It's an aggressive placement for any planet, but especially for Mercury, which is peregrine in most of Sagittarius, and then also it is in the sign of its detriment. Communication is loud, brash, and highly assertive. Propaganda and ideology have a strong correlation with Jupiter as well as Mercury, and this is Mercury traveling through a Jupiter sign. Because Mercury is turning direct, he is going to be louder, he's going to be more prominent, and just much more noticeable than when he was retrograde. The same day, January 1st, we have Venus at 3 Sagittarius squaring Saturn in Pisces. This is a challenging combination that throws cold water over Venus's overtures to unity and friendship. Both planets here are in Jupiter-ruled signs, which suggests tension and repression of beliefs in particular. Venus in Sagittarius has a wild and reckless tone, and Saturn in Pisces just puts the freeze on that energy. Venus also receives Saturn into her exaltation here, so his impact on her is very strong, acting as a general wet blanket. January 4th, Mars will enter Capricorn. This is an increase in Mars's perceived strength as he enters his exaltation. It's an opportunity for Mars to show his good side as a protector, whether that is actually true or not, but he does have a chance to at least appear more positive now. Another way that this transit could manifest is that individuals, political movements, countries, anyone whose ideology and behavior strongly conforms to Mars could experience a real resurgence of power and elevation of profile around January 4th. Mars has been in the astrological wilderness for a long time in 2023, so whoever and whatever identifies with Mars has been struggling and been beaten down for their perceived sins. This started in late September as Mars passed through Libra, which is Mars's detriment, and it will continue until this point in early January. Now, Mars has been combust for a long time, which is really at the crux of its suffering, as Mars and the Sun were traveling together since October, and so Mars was continually afflicted and covered by the Sun's beams, which is a very difficult place for a planet to be. Only when Mars emerges from the Sun's beams, as happens on January 9th, does he get out from under the Sun's malefic influence after a long time. January 8th, we have Mercury at 25 Sagittarius squaring Neptune in Pisces. Mercury squaring Neptune is a deceptive, confusing, unstable combination, suggesting that communication is not reliable now, and neither are other mercurial activities like business or even hermetic or occult operations, which are also ruled by Mercury. There's something extra tricksterish going on right now, so it's a good time to avoid making major decisions because your information may simply be lacking in some way. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the next day, January 9th, Mars has his morning rise at 3 degrees Capricorn. This is known as phases, or an emergence in Greek, when a planet becomes visible after being obscured under the proximity of the sun's rays. So it's very good for Mars, but it's also an opportunity for Mars to conduct war or conflict in an open manner rather than in a hidden way. The downside is that Mars can be overly confident now that he is in his exaltation, And so unless he is restrained by a planet like Saturn or softened by a planet like Venus, Mars in his exaltation won't necessarily be better behaved, although his image or reception may be more positive. So now that Mars is fully visible again, after 3.5 months of obscurity, we'll watch his aspects very closely to see how he acts. If you want, you can start your campaign of aggression around this time, especially around January 9th, though your martial actions will be subject to a lot more scrutiny and awareness than when Mars was concealed by the Sun. Mars's morning rise has major implications for ongoing conflicts, contests, and battles that were able to be actually more damaging up until now because they weren't fully seen. But around January 9th, the facts come into the light of day and change the dynamic dramatically. The same day, January 9th, Sun at 19 Capricorn trine Uranus in Taurus occurs. This is the Sun's translation of light from Jupiter to Uranus, and the Sun, of course, tends to show the truth of a situation. It illuminates the facts. So, combined with Mars's morning rise, the days around January 9th strongly favor the truth about a conflict emerging and providing us an opportunity to squarely face the facts. It's up to us to take that opportunity and stop hiding from the truth. Now is the time to call on Mars's strength, which is, of course, bravery and protection of the weak. That is not all. January 9th, same day, Mars at 4 Capricorn sextile Saturn in Pisces. This is a nice supportive aspect in which Mars has a harmonious relationship with Saturn and is received by Saturn. So this is Mars being validated for good behavior. It's kind of like, if you have a dog and you want it to repeat a good behavior, you positively reinforce that behavior when you see it happening. Here we've got Mars displaying some of that restraint, some of his best behavior in Capricorn, theoretically, but it's really Saturn that makes that happen. So it's kind of like Mars is now getting a cookie from Saturn. Saturn could represent an older person in power. It could represent people in society, like the elders in society who are not necessarily famous, but they wield a lot of power. Again, if you are Mars and you find yourself in a conflict or competition now, you get an assist because you're playing by the rules. You get help from a senior person, you get assistance from a Saturnian character. This is also an opportunity to strike durable deals in the middle of a conflict. January 11th, we'll get the new moon at 20 degrees Capricorn. This new moon widely conjuncts Pluto, the almighty lord of death and wealth, and it is ruled by Saturn, the planet also associated with death, old age, agriculture, and land. Saturn makes a sextile to Jupiter in Taurus and Mars in Capricorn here. So the following 2 weeks are really a chance to build something durable and real, and for once employ Mars constructively as a combustion engine rather than a bomb or a gun. So we have the chance to harness Mars into a helpful rather than a harmful role. We have a number of planets in Capricorn now, and soon Mercury will join them too. So the emphasis is on efforts to build foundations and set limits to prior behavior that maybe was not placed under any limits or restrictions. The second half of January is our chance to build a sturdy container for disparate and uncontrolled energies. January 12th, Mars at 5 Capricorn will trine Jupiter in Taurus. This aspect is already present in the new moon chart, and it is Mars's translation of light between Jupiter and Uranus. It's a victorious combination that we often see present in a triumphal moment. If we are wise, we can make the Mars people agree to firm commitments by making them believe that they won. This is something it's a bit of a weak point, if you will, for Mars. There is no major reception between the planets, which would have solidified the relationship and added a sense of obligation. But a situation does arise now when we can present a chance for a meeting of the minds. It's now a chance for moderating Mars' behavior and making him bow down to the ideals of justice, charity, benevolence, and faith. January 13th, Mercury will enter Capricorn. Mercury will join the party in Capricorn after about 2 months in Sagittarius, and the temperature drops significantly. Now is the moment to act seriously. Mercury takes off the crazy outfit with political slogans on it and puts on a sober business suit. We can do business with this Mercury, and negotiations as well as commitments, contracts, firm plans are really the right tone to take. We've done our yelling on a soapbox, but now let's talk about what we actually want to happen and make plans. January 15th, we get the Sun at 25 Capricorn sextile Neptune in Pisces. It's not the strongest aspect because it said the sextile is only the aspect of friendship, a milder version of the trine. But this aspect provides an opportunity to dream beautiful dreams, but also enter the realm of self-deception and self-deceit. It can bring about things related to water, rain, and flooding as well. January 18th, Mercury at 4 Capricorn will sextile Saturn in Pisces. This combination, along with Mercury's trine to Jupiter on January 19th, is economic in nature. Jupiter and Saturn taken together are symbolic of the most pivotal points of the economy: capital and workers, consumers and laborers, and other mutually interdependent groups that make up the economic life of a society. So these two aspects reflect agreements between larger forces that then percolate through the world of commerce in which we all participate. On a personal level, this can be a good moment to close business deals of all kinds where you have the techne, or knowledge, symbolized by Mercury, combined with money, which is Jupiter, and the labor or land symbolized by Saturn. They're all harmoniously aligned. January 19th, Venus at 6 Sagittarius squares Neptune in Pisces. This aspect reflects the conflict between subtle ambiguity, represented by Neptune in Pisces, and the in-your-face call to action, symbolized by Venus in Sagittarius, who is totally unsubtle. It's similar to what happened around January 8th, when Mercury squared Neptune. Both aspects are destabilizing. Whereas Mercury destabilizes information and communication, Venus square Neptune is about experiences that are enjoyable or attractive, yet deceptive or confusing in some way. Don't trust appearances now. You may be enticed by something that is not good for you or something that appears other than it really is. Certainly don't rush into any commitments at this time. January 20th, the Sun will conjoin Pluto at 29 degrees and 59 minutes of Capricorn. This is one of the most symbolically potent aspects all month. It symbolically represents the world of the age of Earth that's been winding down since December 2020, when Jupiter and Saturn conjoined at 0 Aquarius, ushering in the age of air. These big seismic changes never happen from one day to the next, and we have Pluto going back and forth between Capricorn and Aquarius multiple times over a few years until Pluto is fully established in Aquarius. So we're gradually entering this new age of air, and the Sun-Pluto conjunction in the very last minute of Capricorn is one of a series of symbolic send-offs happening over several years that now wrap up the exiting age of Earth. I've spoken a lot about the age of air and its significations, so you can look for those videos on my YouTube channel as well as my Patreon. Suffice it to say that this is an aspect of closure at a personal, national, and planetary level. January 20th, the Sun will enter Aquarius, and the Sun here will conjoin the 0-degree Great Conjunction of December 2020, emphasizing the theme of an era that's ending and a new one that's coming into view. So this happens along with Pluto entering Aquarius the same day, and it's worth mentioning because Pluto is now spending the majority of 2024 in Aquarius. It will have a final look into Capricorn this fall for about 10 weeks, but there is a sense that we are entering a new era for the next 20 years or so, during which Pluto will transit Aquarius and fully usher in the new age of air, symbolized by Aquarius, which is an air sign. So this aspect, actually, Sun conjunct Pluto close to 0 Aquarius, will be in force on January 20th, 2025, when the next US president is inaugurated, so it will be baked into their next term, and it will emphasize a very strong thematic element into what will happen during their administration. January 23rd, Venus will enter Capricorn. It's a bit of a relief to see Venus in an Earth sign, which she governs by day, by triplicity at least. Sagittarius is not a stable place for Venus, who loves harmony and therefore order of a kind. The emphasis shifts away from fiery Sagittarius into order-loving Saturn-ruled Capricorn. Venus here is good at upholding the dominant paradigm, and she is all about the quiet amassing of soft power or of cultural dominance. Venus's transit through Capricorn is an opportunity to figure out the existing power structures and how we can take a yin approach to surmounting the obstacles in front of us. January 25th will bring in the full moon at 5 degrees Leo. This full moon is ruled by the Sun, which is now in Aquarius, conjoining Pluto, so that will be a key theme for the following 2 weeks. Jupiter also squares the full moon axis, so the next 2 weeks are going to be about straight up exercising sheer power. Pluto represents people and nations who have the most sway in a situation, who have the most outsized influence. So whatever we are doing now, someone powerful is putting their thumb on the scale, sort of unabashedly, the mask is off, they're not even hiding it. So this conjunction is activating 0 Aquarius. And so the 2 weeks following January 25th will be a moment of preview in terms of where we are headed over the next couple of decades in some ways. January 26th, Uranus will turn direct at 19 degrees Taurus. The outer planets tend to be felt most powerfully in the collective, so Uranus turning direct will likely make his disruptive energies more apparent, as when it's retrograde, it'll be more subtle or underground. We'll see how it manifests very shortly, as Mercury and Mars will trine Uranus in a matter of days. January 27th, Mercury at 17 Capricorn will conjoin Mars. It's a verbally aggressive combination, but its power comes more from establishment of strategy rather than the sheer volume of words. Mars is exalted here, so this combination brings us verbal and strategic acuity to attain concrete, specific goals exemplified by Capricorn, which is an earth sign. It's an opportunity for us to negotiate and generally make one's move. There is no guarantee of victory here, but the combination of craft and aggression for which Mercury and Mars are known can be used positively to achieve our aims. January 27th, Venus at 6 degrees Capricorn will sextile Saturn in Pisces. So this sextile brings about a mutual reception between Venus and Saturn. It's fundamentally a conservative, affirming, stabilizing combination. If you want to make a good impression on an older person in power, now is your moment. It's also a good chance to come across as serious, solid, yet friendly. So it could be a great aspect under which to interview for a job or raise funds. It's just so darn respectable. January 28th, Mercury at 19 Capricorn will trine Uranus in Taurus. And this is combined with Mars trine Uranus the following day, so I'll discuss them together. This combination brings an opportunity to turn the tables through deft strategy, such as legal maneuvers. Mercury with Mars can be very positive, but it's also a combination associated with things like theft, so it can be misused. This aspect could also bring about surprising or drastic criminal activity on an individual level, but also publicly in a way that makes the news. So be the good and helpful person here. Don't take on sort of the negative significations of Mercury and Mars. January 28th, Venus at 6 degrees Capricorn will trine Jupiter in Taurus. And this is actually a nice and friendly activation of the Jupiter-Uranus trine by Venus, with Jupiter receiving Venus. It's a lucky combination that can be used to take a chance and see if the gods of fortune are with you. It's also an opportunity to pour some oil on the Jupiter-Uranus conflagration that we've been seeing play out these past few months. Venus does bring some harmony and a chance for peace to otherwise volatile situations. It's also an opportunity to invent something new that may be pleasant, beautiful, or harmonious. All right, thanks for watching. I'm Nina Gryphon, and this is the Astrology and Magic channel.